Hello, my name is Nathan Fawn, aka the Spoken Wordist. Would you take my advice if I asked you to live a life of integrity? Now, before you zone out, listen. Proverbs 11:3 says that the integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. See, if you don't take my word for it, take the true word for it. So understand that living two-faced will leave you drained. See, living one way here and another way there, surely no one will notice. But there is one, yes, one, and his eyes are on everyone and everywhere. So would you take my advice if I asked you to live a life of integrity? If I haven't sold you on it yet, hear me out. Integrity plus identity equals who you are. And who you are without integrity is like a zombie walking about aimlessly, alive on the outside but dead on the inside. See, integrity is like an accountability partner for yourself. And if you let your integrity slip, you let yourself down, wearing a crown on the outside but chains on the inside. See, nobody will ever see. That's why integrity starts within. Everything starts within your heart, which then boils over into action. And action without integrity is, again, like a zombie walking about aimlessly. So let me ask you again. Would you take my advice if I asked you to live a life of integrity? You see, the question isn't merely just for you. Integrity is something we all must do, because without integrity, we're nothing but fools. And I don't know about you, but integrity is a life that I must live. It's a life I choose. And for you who say, it's too hard, I get it. I'm a pastor's kid, and if I let my integrity slip, life as we know it slips. But don't give up. God sees your hard work. And even when life hurts the most, would you take my advice if I asked you to live a life of integrity?
Thank you for tuning in to episode 28 with Uncommon Women. I'm your host, Shanera.
And Jenny Lee.
So today we'll be focusing on integrity. We will focus on the qualities of integrity, why it's important, and what integrity means to us. Today we also have Odeny Fernandez, who's going to share his perspective from a man's point of view on having integrity and how he has transformed from being a player to a gentleman.
So integrity is the practice of being honest and showing consistent and uncompromising adherence to strong moral and ethical principles and values. C.S. Lewis quotes, "Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one is watching." Shanera, so what does integrity mean to you?
Integrity means to me is valuing who you are, who you're inspired to be, morals, and just being truthful, doing things when people aren't watching, and just being a helpful hand when you don't have to, when you just want to because you love people. How about for you?
Well, for me, it's also, like you said, being honest, transparent, and also just knowing your value, what time you're putting in, not wasting other people's time, not your time, being loyal, having humility, just walking in confidence and boldness, and also and having where when you have your core beliefs and your foundation and spiritually and your foundation in Christ, and you also walk in purpose.
And how about for you? What does integrity mean for you, Odeny?
For me, integrity is like that quote that you just read, Jenny Lee. It's who you are when no one is looking, making a choice of who you want to be, and making choices that reflect it.
Yes.
In your daily lives, and making sure that the outside pressures, don't affect your moral and ethical values you have, no matter how hard it is, and wanting to actually kind of like fit in, you actually stand in your core values.
That's good. So speaking of ethical values. How was it growing up, being a player and all, being in high school? I don't know if you want to put your age out there, but how did you get into this journey of having integrity now, and where did it come from? How was your life before you got into this transition?
So I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and I was born into a Dominican family. So I was Dominican, and you know the reputation that we get. It's like you start off, and it's like you're already on 2 strikes with women. I don't know
Why
about
is
you.
that?
I don't know about you. I don't know about you. But growing up, I grew up with just, parents, mother and father, sister. My parents put morals and beliefs in me growing up. So I wasn't, as far as a bad person or, I wasn't doing crazy. But when I grew up and you have this need or want to fit in and belong, what I noticed was that a lot of the guys were players. They were like, if you had girls, you got to like that, you were cool. And I felt growing up that I wasn't like that, but I ended up actually kind of fitting in or making myself fit into that mold because I felt like that's what I needed to be like to fit in. So I did that, and I ended up being a player, sleeping around. I eventually started drinking, smoking weed, and just got myself caught up because I realized that as much as I wanted to, do all that stuff, it just wasn't satisfying. Like I remember finding myself one night after having a one-night stand, just really just like feeling like I just wanted to be loved. And that's really what I wanted. And what ended up happening was I encountered God, or he encountered me when I was in my early 20s in college. And I was praying, and at that time I was Catholic, and I literally felt his presence fall on me, and he spoke to me that he had big plans for me, and that was kind of the start of a journey of walking with him. And as I started walking with him, I started realizing that I wanted to be more like him and who he called me to be. And as that happened, I just started making life changes, allowing him to work in my heart, and I started becoming the man that he called me to be, the man that I was before I got influenced to be like the rest. And I realized that boy or that man that I was when I was younger was who I was created to be. And I ended up exchanging that for something that wasn't me.
That's good. That's good. So living, in your own perspective of being a young man, how did it feel when you wanted to be different? Like, what was your relationship like with your friends?
With my friends, the relationship was like I felt like I was like not the coolest kid, but I was part of the cool, crowd. And my friends, like they protected me and they brought me in. So it was like kind of like they helped me to kind of like be cool. So I was trying to fit in with them, and pretty much they were out drinking. I didn't drink at first, and I got influenced to drink. Mm-hmm. And I started drinking. I was okay, and then eventually I was smoking weed, mm-hmm. and the weed was because I was dealing with a lot of stuff, and I was using that to cope with all the trials and stuff.
Okay, and are you still friends with everyone that you was drinking and smoking weed with, or has your circle changed due to growth?
I still am friends with them. However, again, my morals and my ethics, the life that I live, they're not in the same place that I used to be with. We've kind of grown in different places with that. I do have my close family and church family around me, and I do day-to-day life with them, and they encourage me in the journey that I've chosen to walk, and that's with God. So
that's good.
Okay, Odeny, when you were going through what you were going through, when your friends kind of encourage you to start drinking and smoking weed, and through that process, did they encourage a majority of the girls on you, or were the girls just being brought to you? Because I know, from having, I have brothers, and they have, and guys that are, and I know a few guys that I'm still friends with, and they consider themselves players and want to be the high and mighty, because I got this chick, I got that chick. So were the women, did you encounter the women, or did the guys introduce you to them, or when you were out and about in the streets or anywhere, if you seen somebody pretty, did you always approach her? Because sometimes, like when you're with your friends, they also influence you sometimes and be like, go talk to her, she's pretty, and y'all make bets and who's gonna sleep with her and who's gonna, encounter her.
Yeah,
so
do y'all really make bets?
Yeah, was that also did they encourage you to do that as well?
How many bets did you
besides
have?
just drinking and I'm just keeping it real, and instead of just even though because it happens when you're around a certain amount of crowd that influences you to do some certain things, and like you said, you weren't in the coolest crowd, you weren't cool, but you were in the cool crowd, but you wanted to fit in a somewhat way, so you started doing things because it was encouraged. So how did they approach you, or did you always approach these girls?
It was more like an unsaid thing.
Okay.
It wasn't something that I mean, we did kind of having this mindset when we were getting. It was the game plan was to
smash.
To smash. The game plan was to smash. You get in there, you're looking for women. That's what that was the end game. It was if you don't smash tonight, you're a loser. You know what I mean? It's you don't have it like that. I realized with that, after growing up and maturing, is that's not the end game. That's really short-minded, because in all reality, a lot of what those men really wanted was just validation that they were wanted.
Right.
They were wanted by a woman, and I realized that as I matured, that I just wanted to be wanted, to be feel this woman's attracting me, and while I'm desirable, per se. So getting the woman and being able to sleep with them was kind of a ego thing.
Okay.
It was it validated me as a man. And in reality, that isn't a sustainable foundation for me to continue on with life, because once you do settle down, you can always be continuously wanting to see if you can get the next girl and the next girl and the next girl to feel good, because the person that you're with is not good enough.
Okay. Did you ever get yourself in a situation where you had broke a girl's heart?
Yeah, once I did. Yeah, I did once, and that's when I realized that I will never do that again. I told myself, because with that person, I decided to act like I really liked them, so I could actually, get some, and I ended up breaking her heart, and from that point, I realized I'm not gonna fake it. I'm just gonna be upfront, so they know what it is from the beginning. And that's at that point I did that. And
how did you do that?
How did I do that? I was just straight up front. I told him, I don't want a relationship. I am just trying to have fun. Nothing more. If you're down with that, that's fine. If not, that's cool. I go somewhere else.
Was that how part of your integrity started, did you think? Or did it start after your growth and your transition?
It was, because I felt like I didn't want to hide that from someone.
Okay.
Because I knew that if someone would lie to me or hide something from me, instead of being upfront from the beginning, then it would be better to be upfront from the beginning, because they knew what they were getting themselves into. They weren't... the
honesty.
Yeah, they weren't lied to get into a predicament. So I felt like if I was honest with them up front, they knew what they were getting into. That there was no way that they could come back and be like, well, you told me this or told me that. It was you knew what you were getting yourself into.
Basically just trying to eliminate the drama there, and so you wouldn't sit there and hurt her, and okay, I get that.
Now, with you being honest, did you have issues where you put everything on the table, I just want friends, no benefits, and was there any occasions where they wanted more or they caught feelings and someone got hurt after that, or you kept it at the minimum.
They knew what they were getting into. They didn't get hurt. What ended up happening was I ended up liking girls that ended up hurting me. So that I gave my all to, like as in like commitment. I was the type of guy that was committed to you before we were dating. Like I was like, I like you. I'm gonna commit to you. I'm not gonna talk to nobody else. I'm gonna like all the girls I was talking to. Bye. We ain't talking no more. I'm gonna talk to you, and that's it. Even though you like we're not dating and we're just friends. I just saw you like 2 days ago. Like you know what I mean? Like I like you, so I'm gonna go after you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna, keep our relationship.
That's good.
And yeah, so what for me was a very critical point in my life that transformed me from being someone that just was using women to kind of sleep around and having one night stands or just having fun. Was really encountering God and bringing me through a journey where he became real for me. Like it wasn't just like going to church on Sundays. It wasn't hearing a sermon, but it was actually God of all the heavens and earth actually pursuing me. And when I realized that he was real, I gave my life to him. And when I gave my life to him, I realized that there were things that I had to change, that I had to let go of in order to continuing my growth with him. At first, it wasn't easy. It was a lot of really just kind of denying myself. I would have women that would message me, telling me, hey, It
was in your DM?
Yeah, it was my iMessages. But they would message me and like, hey, I'm having something tonight. You want to come through? And I knew that what was going to happen. So what I ended up doing was telling them, hey, no, I can't. I have Bible study. Like that, like I literally had to, even though everything inside of me was screaming and wanted to go out and like get my flesh, my desires met, I realized that that I had to choose God at that moment. So I kept saying no, and circumstances kept coming, and it got easier and easier as I kept saying no. And God helped me through the journey. It wasn't just because I was so righteous and I said no, but it was because I chose Him. I chose the person that God had created me to be over the desires that I currently wanted to be met. And the one thing I've heard before is saying desires are good slaves, but not good masters.
That's good.
And I didn't want anything to master me. I realized that if I could stop everything that I was doing to go and have sex, it was because it was controlling me. I didn't want anything to have control over me like that. So in that journey, God transformed my heart. I went from not having sex just because the Bible told me not to have sex to actually not having sex because I realized why He didn't want me to have sex. He didn't want me to have sex because it was meant for a covenant. And when two people come together, it's like literally coming together and just become one person. Yep, it was a soul tie. And there was actually one relationship I had that I remember before I had sex with that woman. I remember thinking in my mind, I was like, if I leave her now, I'll be fine. But if we have sex, something's going to happen that it's going to, like, if we leave and she leaves me, it's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So what ended up happening was that's what happened. We ended up having sex, and I would say a year later, she ended up leaving. And it was after a prayer. I prayed to God to take all the evil from my life, and she broke up with me. So I'm just saying. But I realized that year after that was really painful because me and her had become one. Mm-hmm. And that was like a tearing apart me and her. It was because you were like technically married. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't like we went before we had a wedding or anything like that, but that's for God, that's marriage. When you have sex, when you consummate the marriage is through sex. Now I realized from that I was like, God just wanted me to wait for that one woman that I was gonna spend the rest of my life with, and I realized that one woman is worth it. So I decided to choose to work on myself, focus on me, focus on God, and in that process, in the middle of the process, I'm still not done, but I'm becoming the person that my wife needs me to be, that person that when I marry, that I'm going to be that man for her. instead of like looking for a woman and not focusing on myself and not being prepared for when marriage comes and a real relationship comes. Because all that other stuff, that lust, looking, all they're beautiful, but it's really who that person is. Again, attraction is a part of it, but not the whole thing.
Like long term.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, that's a little bit of my journey and how God's really turned me around to kind of like be an advocate for purity, because I really love that. I love talking about like the youth and having them to like actually. I wish I would have known now, back then. Like what I know now, I wish I would have knew it back then, because it would have helped me out and kept me out of a world of hurt and trouble. So, yeah.
That's great. That's good. I like how you can be accountable for your actions of being a player, and now coming into this authentic gentleman of actually cherishing women and valuing us, not just wanting to fit in and doing what the other guys are doing, or moving out of your flesh, because as they say, what the world say, we all have needs, but you're actually...
I'm just a man.
I don't know about that. I ain't a man, but I definitely applaud you for your transparency in regards to growing up,
And Odeny, I like shouldn't have said I applaud you as well, because you see now a lot of men now, where just as women, because I know Shannara, you be getting guys in your inbox as well. And I've gotten to a point, from a woman's perspective, where when a man is either in my inbox trying to talk inappropriate to me, I tell him not to do that. So, and that's how I know this. That's how I know the man is like, he's in that different mindset where I'm a man, like you said, and they have their needs. Okay, whatever. That's how just the world sees it, because even when we have needs, it's only temporary, and I try to explain that to these men, or I'm the one, I'll be like, well, do you have any value to yourself? Do you think you doing that or saying anything to me that's going to get my attention, or are you seeking attention? And they don't like that. Real, and just, like I said, being real with them. And also, basically what I'm trying to say, Odeny, is how can I talk to these men, approach these men, and without offending them?
That's a very good question, because what you really want to do is you want to be honest. That ties in with what we were talking about, integrity. You want to be honest in what you're looking for, and also you want to place boundaries and let them know like you're not that type of woman. Because for me, if I'm looking for a woman, there's like a list that I normally have that I go through of what I want in a woman, and the first thing on the list is, does she love God?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And if she doesn't love God, then it's like, skirt. No, ain't happening. Why? Because
standards, your standards.
Standards, and I want to raise my kids with a relationship with God. And if someone doesn't believe in God, and I believe in God, it's not going to be a very easy... Like-minded, so it's not going to be easy in that situation.
Yeah.
Next thing is, okay, her life. I was like, she loves God, okay, great. Let me see if her life matches what she talks about, what she preaches. Because, again, she can talk about it, but not walk in it. And I definitely want someone that is going to match my intensity and my commitment to God, because I want that to emanate from not from just us, but in our family and in our future with our kids. So that is very important to me. And I personally don't believe that if someone doesn't have something to offer or bring to the table to add on to you, whether a man or a woman, that they probably shouldn't be in a relationship yet, because again, they're not ready to take on the responsibilities and the hard work that comes with actually long term,
right?
Because people are very short term minded. They're like, I want to get in, have some fun, but people who are in a different mindset, who want to build for the long term, who wants to live for, build for. I'm choosing to build now.
Yes.
For my generations to come. So choices that I'm making now, it's not just for me, but it's for my children, my great grandchildren, and for them, because I've chosen to stand against the things that don't pertain to God, because again, everything and the source of everything is from God. So that's very important. So you want to make sure that you make it clear, you set boundaries, and you want to know and hear from God if that's the person, because God's going to let you know. So
you definitely don't want to compromise in what you're looking for and compromise with your flesh. Sometimes when we're in the walk of actually the process of getting to know ourselves and loving ourselves, we're not equipped with how deep or how impacted we are when we get into certain situations. So sometimes we may think that, you compromise with your mind sometimes. You may think that you're strong enough, or I'm obedient, I can go out on this date, and your flesh is stronger than you expect it to be. And that's when we put ourselves in situations like, man, why did I do this? Or I knew I shouldn't have went out there. You got to listen to those thoughts. You got to retrain your mind and renew your mind daily, so that you don't put yourself in circumstances or situations where your integrity falls.
And I've had a situation like that where I told the person that I was with that we were, we spend the day together, and then we were going back, and I had to drop some stuff off in her house, and I realized that I was there that there's some, my manly hormones or whatever was going on was working, and I was like, oh no. Oh no. So I identified, it's called self-awareness, right? I became self-aware, and I made a choice to match with my beliefs and what I choose to live out on a day-to-day basis. So I let her know, I'm like, hey, I gotta go. And she was like, what, you can't control yourself? I'm like, damn right. That is exactly why
I gotta go.
But I also think it also goes for women as well, because as women,
we get hot too.
Like Shalera said, like we do. So I've been in situations where I won't be alone with a guy. They're like, why? I was like, because things happen. And not only that, like with me, like you said, you're walking with Christ. I'm walking with Christ. I want to be obedient. I want to have self-control. And I want to honor. I want to honor myself, but not only God. So, and that's where integrity comes in as well. So, so I think it goes for both ways for men and women as well. So
if they want the goods, they got to put in the
work. Put a ring on it.
They got to put in the work, because I mean, a lot of people don't know that relationships take a lot of effort, a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice, and it takes work. So you can't have these men or even women that come in and just think that it's just like a little, fun and nothing serious. You want someone that is going to, one, bring you closer to God, that's going to add on to you, and it's going to build a life with you. You're not looking for short term. You're looking for the long term, the long haul. So
yes, and a solid foundation at that.
Yes.
And in order to have a solid foundation, it always starts with you. You have to be content with who you are as a person before you can actually get into any type of relationship. Before you can get into any long-term relationship and be able to add to it. You have to know who you are as a person.
Like if you don't love you, how can you
love someone else? Exactly.
Like you are you, and if you don't love you, then you can't.
Because we're growing constantly. So you have to be in a place where you kind of have a idea of who you are, rather than trying to find who you are in a relationship.
Yeah, because it's more difficult because you have the responsibilities of meeting some need in some way or form. You have responsibility to give that person attention, to communicate with them, and they're they want to be spoken to, and you're like, oh, I can't because I'm figuring myself out. So
yeah, and that brings on our next topic in regards to qualities of integrity. Just to point out a few, because there's several out there. Being trustworthy is one of them. Honoring your word. What you say, try sticking to it. Because that goes a long way in regards to relationships, friendships, family, all that good stuff. Honoring, being trustworthy. Go ahead.
And that with that you build trust. When you continually say who you are and you actually come through, it builds trust in your relationship. Instead of being someone that always says something but never comes through, people are not going to rely on you because they're going to be like, oh, well, you said it 18 other times.
Right.
Like, what makes it this?
I don't know about
different?
18. I ain't giving about 18. Maybe 5.
2.
Yeah.
But that's good. Y'all get our point. Another thing, also being trustworthy comes with being honest, being credible in regards to what you say, white lies, people will be like, oh, well, it's just a white lie, they'll be all right. But sometimes, even though the truth may hurt, sometimes being honest is what they need, and it may lead into some integrity on their end for them to be accountable of what you say and being understanding in what you're doing. Let's see. And being authentic as well.
Yep.
Let's see. Apologizing first. That's another trait in regards to integrity. Sometimes we have a lot of pride and you're just like, I don't care what they say. They was wrong. I wasn't wrong. And especially with parents, with kids, sometimes we're yelling. I know I yell all the time. Well, I'm working on that. And over punishing. And, children are very vulnerable. And they're emotional human beings going through transition and having, got the whole depth of being a person, being a human being. So sometimes as adults, it's okay for us to actually set our pride aside and apologize more, especially when we're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Let's see. Doing good things when no one's watching. That's a good trait of integrity as well. Sometimes you have people where they're always looking for acceptance or approval, and having a good trait of integrity is doing things when people aren't watching, when you know what's right.
Yep. And that's a really good one because I can kind of give an example, not my personal example. This hasn't happened to me, but just saying, like, imagine someone dropping the wall and you see them dropping the wall and you picking it up and let's say it's $2,000 and don't ask me how you know there's $2,000.
You gotta open it.
But you gotta open it to figure out who the person is.
But you can open it, but don't have to count it.
Yeah.
He just said $2,000.
I'm just saying.
So he
I'm just putting some number there just to make it enticing for you guys out there that are listening because $2,000, But anyways, at that moment, you can either, if the person's obviously not there, then the integrity thing, the honest thing to do is to return it, to find the person, because obviously there should be some type of ID on there, and you should return it. And I know how when we come to that place, sometimes it's not so easy because you get thoughts that come in, and you're like, "Well, man,
God sent me this money.
You got that." Yeah, the devil's a lie.
I agree.
Yeah. But that's the integrity thing to do is to, when no one's watching, no one's looking, actually giving it back, because again, another thing that was mentioned was the fact of actually being selfless and helping others out. So
yeah, that's
absolutely
good. I like that one. Let's see. Did I say anything about arguing when you come into a disagreement with people? I think that's a part of integrity. Sometimes we just gotta shut up, even though we may think we right, but we're wrong. Or even if we're right and it's just blown out of proportion, and you just want to humble yourself and just be the better person. Sometimes we can just stop the arguing and eliminate all the tension and just agree. Sometimes when people have tension or are going through things, we're so quick to already know what we want to say next versus then listening to what they're saying and then responding off of that. I know a lot of people that react to someone else's response versus listening and then not having a negative reaction, So having a positive reaction towards something is a part of integrity as well.
Yeah. And you said something very powerful, is like listening, because when your goal for listening is actually to understand the other person. When you're listening, you're looking to understand them, and the person, and actually take a look from their perspective, because again, you could be misinterpreting what they're saying. So,
and assuming.
Yes, because you've had experience with the person and you're like thinking that, okay, this is what they mean, but it's not exactly that. So
that's good. That's good. Mm-hmm. For people that have businesses or in leadership or managers, anything in that sort, for bosses, you know, even though you're the boss and, you know, you running things, an accomplishment in regards to integrity is acknowledging your staff and not downplaying them, you know, letting them know that you genuinely care about them and that you appreciate their efforts, and give them a pat on the back like you're doing an awesome job, you know, just the little things, you know, that can go a long way, even though you're higher than they are in the industry or whatever you're leading or business. It shows integrity that you can, you know, step down, not necessarily step down to their level, but have a relationship with them, you know, be transparent.
Authentic.
Yeah, be authentic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
People like being led by people that are real and that people that respect, people that acknowledge. So, actually, I have a story about integrity in even in the business field, because I remember there was a workplace I was working for. I will not name.
We ain't gonna throw no names out.
No shade, none at all. But so in this establishment, I was working in the call center, and I remember I was on a phone call, and one of my coworkers, and I'm brand new, I'm probably like a month in or something like that. And I started noticing some things, and she told me, hey, you say this on the phone, and I was like, well, we don't sell that. And she's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, you have to lie. Sometimes you have to lie. Mm-hmm. To work here, you have to lie. She literally clearly said that, and I was like, no. I said no. She went back. She got the manager, brought the manager in, and she was like, tell him that he has to lie. And this isn't a business. Yes, this is a business establishment. And I told the manager, I said, no, I will not lie. I'd rather hang up the phone. And I hung up the phone. And from that moment on, people like in the office were like, they knew that like they weren't going to get me to conform or compromise what I believed in, regardless of where you're going to fire me or not. That's to you, but I will not compromise my morals for a job. So.
That's good.
Oh yeah, I can relate. You know, sometimes like I do caregiving and I have to clock in and out of my phone, and you know my job sees that. Because everything is electronically, and you know, I accidentally clocked out, probably by a minute, because I thought it was the time I was supposed to. Because when I get that a certain time, rather it's 5 minutes, I'm supposed to stay there to that full 5 minutes, even if I'm there for 2 hours or I got there like 5 minutes after that. I'm supposed to sit there and give my full 2 hours. So I can relate to that, because I remember the one day where I clocked out. You know, and I'm like, I literally sat there. He was like, well, if you already clocked out, you can go home. That's what my client literally said. I said, I can't do that. Mm-hmm. He's like, but it's only 3 minutes. I said, I'm going to sit here, even though I clocked out accidentally at a time I wasn't supposed to, which I'll call my job and let them know when I'm done here. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to sit here until it's exactly that time.
That's good.
And I do it all the time. And he just looks at me. He was like, that is so weird. So I have some characteristics for integrity. Value. They are grateful for your time and contribution. They know the value of your time. Also, they will never leave you waiting. They give credit to others. They acknowledge the efforts of deserving people and never steal someone's thunder. And they aren't judgmental either.
That's good.
Also, they know when someone is wrong. They quickly understand when someone has done wrong, but also forgive easily. So that is something that we all have to, like, when someone is wrong, so we have to hold them accountability and just forgive, because at least they're coming to you and saying they are wrong. Also, they believe in others. They have the utmost faith and confidence in others. They want honesty just like they are with you. We all expect honesty.
So we give to receive.
Yeah, we
right.
get to receive.
Yeah.
Yes. They also volunteer for a good cause. You know, like I volunteer.
Charity events, things like that.
So, they intend to work for the benefit of society at all times. Volunteering comes naturally to them. They don't expect anything in return.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Cheerful
Yes.
giver.
Yes, definitely. And
It means no hidden agendas.
and being honest. Again, we're being honest. Never lies to escape a situation and owns up to their mistakes and then, you know, just looks back on them and reflects on them and on their mistakes, and they grow from it.
Yeah, honesty is very important in regards to not even just integrity, but living life, period, you know. So, Denny, what do you consider, from a man perspective, what he needs to have in order, you know, to walk with having integrity?
I think a lot of these characteristics that you guys have said were actually pretty on point. Like as a father, parenting their children, because I know sometimes the father's like, I'm the man of the house, you know, I gotta show the authority. But yes and no. They need to know that you are the head of the household, but again, you want to apologize when you're wrong, because again, there's going to be things that you don't do right, and then you have to lead by an example. And I think it's very important to lead as a man or a husband, to lead the example that you want your children to lead also, to follow you, because you don't want to say something like, this is how I want you to be, but then your children see you doing the opposite, and you're just being a hypocrite, you know. So you're telling your kids not to steal, but then you're picking up the wallet and not returning it. And as a husband, I think integrity would be to treat your wife the same way that you'd want to be treated, valuing her.
Even relationships.
Yes, consistently pursuing the relationship, and then also saying who you will be and then following through. Not just when you're dating and you're like, yeah,
right, the little honeymoon phase.
Yeah, and then once you get her, you're like, yeah, I'm not doing no chocolates, I ain't doing none of that. I got you, you in the bag, you know what I mean? I don't need, like, come
and that's
on.
when we be like, you changed.
Yeah, and that's when the cheating happens and they leave or something. You don't want that. But yes, in all seriousness, you want to be the same person that you said you would be in the beginning when you're dating, all the way through in every area of your life. And then even as a successful businessman, you want to do everything right. As far as making sure that if you're owning a business or even working for someone, that you are working as if it was for you. And you want to serve people, and you want to make sure that you're not leaving anything out, and you're being honest with them. Because I've done the sales background. I have a little bit of sales background, and a lot of people have this mindset of commission. I want to get the commission. For me, it's a little bit of different mindset. It's more of like, how can I serve them? And if I learn to help people and focus on their needs, then eventually the commissions will come regardless, because my focus is helping them. If you're good at helping people, you'll make a lot of money. So that's something that men need in that sense. So
that's good. And then as far as women for integrity, I think it's hand in hand, you know, just being loyal and being truthful in regards to being a woman. I know as women, especially single parents or just women that's Miss Independent, you know, we are prone to being such this powerful person and not needing help. And it's okay to be empathetic in things. And women are called to be nurturers. So sometimes we just have to step down off our high zone and being almighty and be emotional, I guess, a positive aspect in regards to integrity and just having morals, you know, You think of anything in regards to women and integrity?
Yes, I think when a woman of an integrity, she frames her life around a path and purpose.
That's good.
She keeps herself so busy and cultivating meaningful relationships with those around her, positive vibes. Positive vibes are contagious. And I feel like when also when she chooses her battles wisely, spiritually, nature may believe in something like us, we believe in Christ. That's her. She's a woman of substance.
Yeah, positive vibes are good. And it's quick to walk into a surrounding where there's negativity all the time and complaining all the time. And having integrity, you can just change the atmosphere. Yeah. When someone's thinking negative, it's like, oh, today's Monday. Just be like, well, we're working though. There's some people that got a job, and I'm blessed to be up this Monday. Just think of something positive instead of always thinking negative.
And they hate that though, because they're like, "Oh,
why she all hyping?
why can't she be negative with me?"
Right. So step out of your boundaries. This is very good.
But also again, but a woman of integrity, she also always keeps herself grounded. Always. And sometimes we as women of integrity at times are not proud to admit that we don't have it all together.
Right. We have flaws.
We're human.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think it's even harder for men.
Oh, yeah, because y'all got to be so macho and y'all can't show emotions. And
you got to have the whole world on our hands and we got it all together, But it's not true. So
men can
don't
show
believe
emotions.
It. Yes, they can.
And then also, I don't like having my time wasted. I do not like having my time wasted. Just like I don't like wasting other people's time. Yep. And I think that's important. And integrity as well, because, when we have to do something and I'm having them wait, that kind of like makes them feel some type of way. The same way, like if I'm sitting there and I'm waiting for them, that's going to make me feel some type of way. Like if, like for instance, like, you have to be on time for certain things, and I think that's what makes it integrity as well.
Yeah, not taking advantage.
Not taking advantage of the time or the value as well, and we also when times get hard, we have to reflect, on our goals and what makes us strong, and and stand on our core values, and that's how we stand on them, because that's what makes us, not only purposeful in our walk, and the foundation, the substance that, and, women of integrity, that's what grounds us together as well. All together, mainly.
Yeah. And that goes into what we're talking about in regards to the importance of integrity. Your lifestyle, living for something greater than just your needs. Finding a purpose, and when finding a purpose, you're actually not only inspiring yourself but inspiring others. It would actually give you a foundation, like Jenny was talking about, and gives you it plants you in life. It plants you in life and gives you the next stepping stone to growth. Another thing important for integrity is society aspect, your reputation. Like we talked about earlier, being trustworthy and being honest. People can look up to you, or people can come to you when they know that, Denny, he keeps his word. He got my back. If I need to depend on him to do something, I know he's going to be there. And that's what I love about Odeny, because when I was moving, I asked him if he could actually help me move, and I know he's a man of his word, and he's very passionate, and with him having integrity, he was there for me. He helped me out when moving. And in the rain, it was raining, and him and someone else was the only two people moving a whole house. And that's what relationships build off of in regards to society for importance of integrity. And then we also spoke on workplace. It's very good to be honest in the workplace. It grows long-lasting relationships. It may turn into promotions. It may turn into your jobs loving what you do. Like Jenny, for example, she's on the verge of possibly looking for another job, but her job's like, no, we want you to stay. We love you. We love what you do. So building relationships is a great aspect on the importance of integrity in the workplace. It makes a peaceful environment as well. We talked about positive aspects, and just overall making the atmosphere better. Do you want to go into
Yes.
how to practice integrity?
How to practice integrity. Just live with honesty and keep promises. Also show compassion and sympathy, empathy towards others. Create a personal mission statement for your life. Maintain dedication to your values, which is very important.
Yes.
Figure out what is important to you and what is important in your life, your surroundings. Choose a cause selflessly. Volunteer, mentor, do charity work, Also find ways to support your cause. Make sure that your efforts adhere to your values. Like if you're gonna volunteer and speak into the lives of children, just put the efforts in, in that cause right there. Access what you consider to be meaningful in your life. Consider whether your life serves purpose. Also find ways to live with greater mindfulness, which that is very, very important as well.
That's good. That's good. Well, thank you for tuning in to this episode. And thank you, Odeny, for actually coming out, being a part of Uncommon Women. One thing we do ask our guest speakers, male or female, in regards to a topic or their life in general, is what makes them uncommon. So what makes you uncommon in regards to uncommon man?
Yes.
Thank you guys for having me out. What I believe makes me uncommon is the fact that I've chosen to stand out, apart from what society dictates, because I believe there's a lot of people that just fit in. And I tried it, but it didn't fit me, and God found me, and I chose to stand out and be who I was created to be. So. And it was a fight, and it's to continue to fight for the authenticity. So, thanks for having me.
No problem.
No
Thanks.
problem. So, like, share, comment, and email us at uncommonwomenpodcast@gmail.com on any topics you want us to talk about. Also, we are looking for sponsors and events for vendors.
And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to
stay uncommon.